Deep in southern Louisiana, almost touching the Gulf of Mexico, lies a little place named Pointe. This small marshland area of coastal Louisiana stands as a modern-day Garden of Eden. It is home to an incredible amount of flora, including cypress trees, oak trees, and weeping willows, as well as wildlife, including Louisiana favorites such as alligators, otters, and the state bird, the brown pelican. Although Pointe, as well as most of the state's coastline, has an amazing collection of different plants and animals visible to the public, it is also home to an entire beautiful world that people do not normally get to see, just under the water. Pointe-Chenes' location along Louisiana's coast has caused an extensive amount of salt water to intrude into areas that once consisted of mostly fresh water. The result of this is a brackish water environment. Different areas of Pointe-Chenes have different amounts of salt in the water. Different types of fish live in the different types of water. Louisiana freshwater fish include bluegill, goggle-eye or warmouth as some people call them, sockeye, and largemouth bass. These can be found in some places around Pointe-Chenes, but the larger fish are found in more salty environments. One of the most common saltwater fish seen in coastal Louisiana is the mullet. There are two types of mullet in the state, including the white mullet and the striped mullet. The two species are virtually indistinguishable. They both spawn 40 miles or more offshore and eat algae, detritus, and tiny fish. They both have slick and oily skin that allow them to be great bait fish.
I like using mullet for bait fish. Just throw a cast net down there in a Pointe-Chenes Montague Goulart. Odds are you'll catch something in there. You can throw an end of your hook, put in your freezer, whatever you want to. Use it as crab bait. Really good bait fish. Would not recommend eating. There's a lot of bones that pick out and stuff like that. No, don't mess with that. Good bait fish. Other than that, really not too much I use it for.
Another common fish found in Pointe-Chenes is the needlefish. These strange little fish have small scales and long jaws of white teeth that make them look like garfish, but they are actually only distantly related to gars, and they do not grow much longer than 2 feet in Louisiana. Blue crabs are also found often in Pointe-Chenes. They are a local delicacy, although they are tricky to peel. Males and females can be distinguished by a few different factors, including males having blue claws and females having an oval-shaped apron with a point at the top. These crabs can be harvested year-round, but they enter molting season for the first full moon of May. This is when crabbers can harvest soft-shell crabs.
Even though I'm not a professional crabber by any means, my family and I have crabbed for as long as I could remember. And whether that's fishing off the boat, using hoop nets, using mullet, or just turkey necks, or as little as just going off the side of the road down the bayou and throwing it off a string and pulling them in like that, crabbing's really just been a fun activity for my family to really provide with food and an activity for the day. Craziest thing about crabs is whenever you can look at them and know the difference in the sex of it, whether it's like through the color or just flipping over the bottom of the crab and seeing the different style of apron. My whole family really prefers the taste of male crabs because they don't like the eggs inside of the females, but it couldn't really bother me at all. I really have no preference in it. I honestly do like the taste of crabs, other than how hard they are to peel. If they weren't so hard to peel, I would eat them so much more often.
One large saltwater fish often found around Pointe-Chenes is the sheep's head. This fish eats, well, pretty much everything. The most famous attribute of a sheep's head is by far their strange human-like teeth, which they use to eat and break open shells. These fish can grow up to 20 pounds and be up to 25 inches long. One of the largest types of fish native to Pointe-Chenes is the black drum. They typically weigh between 5 and 30 pounds, but sometimes can get as heavy as the world record black drum, which was 146 pounds. These fish often live to be about 60 years old. Smaller black drums often taste better than the larger ones, and a general rule of thumb is that especially large black drum are usually full of parasitic worms. The other, and generally more popular drum living along Louisiana's coast is the redfish, otherwise known as the red drum. These fish live to be about 40 years old. They can grow as large as 94 pounds. Now that's the world record. And they taste amazing. Redfish usually love to eat shrimp, mullet, crabs, and smaller fish. Males will often spawn when they are about 2 years old. At this point, some will weigh around 4 pounds. Females begin to spawn when they are 4 years old and 13 pounds. During spawning season, females will spawn every 3 to 5 days, making about 1 million eggs at a time. The fertilized eggs only take 20 to 30 hours to hatch. Redfish often have one black spot on their tail, but sometimes they can have none, and sometimes they can have a lot. One redfish in Florida had 606 spots. Louisiana's huge inshore saltwater ecosystem also has a major effect on Louisiana culture.
The effect it really has is you have a lot of commercial industry. Even people that don't have a lot of money are able to obtain a commercial license and provide for their families by going out and fishing. So they're able to put food on the table and even, live off of that.
Pointe is one of the most beautiful places in South Louisiana. It has an incredible ecosystem and serves as a home for a multitude of different beautiful and fascinating species of fish. This is why it is important to protect the Louisiana coast.